Friendship is not gay. Actually, this seems like a very interesting video. Let's watch it. Why would friendships be gay between men or between women? It's usually the other way around. No, if you're a guy with female friends, people think you're gay or something. All right, let's watch the video.
Those who cannot conceive of friendship as a substantive love, but only as a disguise of eros, betray the fact that they have never had a friend. Fellas, is friendship
gay?
With June now behind us, some call it Pride, there was another fresh round of national conversation about LGBT representation in popular media, and I came across this nightmare. Frog and Toad, remember them? These books by Arnold Lobel, who was gay, by the way.
Okay, so is this video kind of like people trying to make friendships like in media gay, like retroactively or something? I don't understand. What is the point of this video?
Were among my favorites as a kid. My memories with these books aren't visceral, but they're more like fingerprints. I still feel the warmth of these stories. And it has a lot to do with the sincerity and simplicity of that friendship on those pages. But like so many other popular stories and friendships, people like to twist their meaning, and I'll tell you why they do this. Friends are fellow travelers. We recognize ourselves in them.
Okay, I see what he's trying to say. Maybe he's trying to say that people like retroactively do look back at certain films, certain media, certain shows, and try to, you know, look deeper into just a simple friendship. Because I see it at times when people are like, oh, the meaning of this girl and this guy were actually in love. And oh, this guy and this guy were actually in love, or this guy's actually gay. They're always trying to go deep into something. We just got to let it be sometimes. You don't always got to look for a deeper meaning. And then you just kind of ruin the art form of it being open-ended when trying to give it a conclusive answer. But in media, I do feel like they're always trying to ship two people together when there's no like sexuality stated, which is kind of odd.
And when friendships are healthy, we reveal ourselves and aren't punished for it. That's a very simple fact of most male and female relationships. There will always be some higher degree of scrutiny over the pairing, and in many cases, the friend zone or the failure of a romance to come about is taken as rejection or punishment. Men, like women, need space for relationships free of this factor, where none of this is taken into account. Friendship is about affection, but you hear it all the time. Sam and Frodo from Tolkien's Lord of the Rings is a perfect example. They must be gay. These two men couldn't possibly travel Middle-earth together, sacrificing life and limb, comfort and safety for anything other than sexual attraction. And my God, the eye contact when they speak to one another and cry in their shared suffering. The word toxic gets quite abused, but it's actually so toxic to suggest this. And
it's definitely weird to suggest that two like innocent friends or a gay couple who are secretly like romantically invested in each other. But you know, it happens all the time when like a guy and a girl in like a show or a movie, people are always shipping them. So I mean, yeah, I kind of agree, but at the same time, like, it's gonna happen anyways. So let people have their weirdo theories. You know, there's gonna be weirdos all the time. You can't do anything about it.
Comes from the very people who complain the loudest about straight men's emotionally withholding nature. Men should cry more. Why can't they share their feelings? But if they do, gay.
Wait, hold on. Wait a second. This is gay. This is really gay. Yeah, this is even gayer than all the men getting in a big pile and having sex with each other. Okay, sorry, my bad. Everyone back in the pile.
Back in the pile, everyone! We're going back to the pile.
C.S. Lewis, a warm friend of J.R.R. Tolkien for a time, wrote about this in explicit terms in his book, The Four Loves: Affection, Friendship, Eros, and Charity, which lays out a vision of masculine friendship in chapter 2. In it, he starts off, it has actually become necessary in our time to rebut the theory that every firm, serious friendship is really homosexual. It applies perfectly to Frog and Toad and also to Sam and Frodo when Lewis quips, "It cannot be proved, and it cannot be refuted." This chapter is some of C.S. Lewis's most fiery and clearly agitated writing. The very lack of evidence is thus treated as
okay, I see what they're saying. It's like because there isn't any like sexual stated or sexuality stated that they're straight or that they're not gay or that they're in a romantic relationship with somebody else, people treat it as, oh, that must mean there is a secret meaning behind it and that they really are gay. I feel like this could happen in any show and movie. Does it even matter that much? I mean, does it affect people in real life? I don't think anybody in real life says friendships are gay, right? But maybe if he's looking at it from a lens of, oh, you're telling people to be more, or men to be more emotional, connect with other men more deeply. And then when you see it in media, you judge it and criticize it and immediately call it gay. I can see where he's coming from. That doesn't make sense from a standpoint of people are saying, you men need to open up, but then immediately say they are having a homosexual relationship because it's in media where two men are friends. I mean, how I look at this is it's just like there's always going to be people that make up theories, right? There's probably a SpongeBob theory about Patrick and SpongeBob being like soulmates or being homosexual or whatever. But is it that serious? No, you got to treat people that think of these things like they're pretty dumb. People are always going to be dumb. They're always going to make up theories. I'm sure there's even wilder theories in Lord of the Rings, I think this is, and there's even wilder theories in every other show. And we don't take like any deep investigative acts in it because it's not that serious to really look at, right? It's just theories. People are going to come up with whatever they want to come up with. It's like fan fiction, right?
Evidence. The absence of smoke proves the fire is only carefully hidden. If there was an invisible cat in the chair, it would look empty, but the chair does look empty. Therefore, there's an invisible cat in it. There are so many great male friendships in literature and TV. Sherlock and Watson, Corey and Sean from Boy Meets World, Arnold and Gerald, Jon Snow and Sam Tarly, Jay and Silent Bob, Turk and JD from Scrubs.
There's nothing gay about it in our eyes.
And there's different flavors of friendship. The bromance is the TV sitcom default. It's guys backslapping, being vulgar, venting about their wives, and just having fun. Sometimes these on-screen relationships toy with the gay question as a matter of comedy, JD and Turk being a good example of that.
You're the only man who's ever been inside of me.
Whoa. Playing grab ass is part of the shtick, and that's a thing that guys do with select friends. Then there's the service buddy, the guy who you work.
Yeah, I don't know when this happened, but for some reason, like guy friends just all started acting gay with each other because they thought it was funny or something, right? And then there's gonna be people like, oh, you're homophobic, bro. It's just people making jokes about each other. It's not at the expense of anybody. It's literally just actions. If they're comfortable doing that, then they're comfortable doing that, right? But yeah, I feel like that's just extremely normalized now. Like everybody I've known does it.
With and share a mission. Castiel and Dean from Supernatural, Band of Brothers, Sam and Frodo. Sometimes we choose one another's company, but sometimes we don't. In the Fellowship of the Ring movie, Samwise Gamgee is sort of deployed by Gandalf to accompany Frodo because he heard about the ring through the window. But it's a relationship overflowing with a sense of duty, shared love for something bigger than themselves, and a mutual respect. Lovers are normally face to face, friends side by side. Men thrive in labor together. The best friendships I ever formed were in shared suffering on Boy Scout trips, in the rain, in the cold, in the wind, trying to set up a tent together in the dark, and men used to work together more regularly side by side before the digital era. I'm very lucky to work from home and have a keyboard warrior job, but it's isolating. I imagine many of you out there experience the same thing. I
think to an extent, I could see what he's saying. It is isolating, because people don't interact with each other as much, especially men, right? We only really make our really tight friendships in school. And then if you go to college, then sure, right? But after that, what do? Like you go to bars, people, like, I'm not into that. That's not my vibe, right? So for me, making friends, like I had multiple friends or multiple best friends, right? But then we split up because of something happened. They took a different route in life and that just wasn't my vibe. But nowadays, like, do I have really close friends that I could trust with my whole life? I would say no, because the friends that I have from high school aren't like the closest friends I ever had in my life, right? I had closer friends when I was younger, but obviously not every friendship lasts forever. But I have really close friends, and those close friends are my brothers. Those are my closest friends of all time, like my blood brothers. Like those are people that I can trust for the rest of my life. And I'm so grateful to have brothers that are like close to me in age, and we're similar. We're very similar. We all vibe together.
Hated my cubicle job in my 20s, but I loved the presence of my cubicle mate, Dave, and his Star Wars bobbleheads and daily jokes about Grand Admiral Thrawn. There was a camaraderie and a kind of bromance that it was kind of surface level, but like the warmth of a fire, you can feel it most sharply when it's no longer in your life. Men.
Yeah, I agree with that. I had a class one time. This dude, shout out him. He was a good friend. Like I was just chilling in the back of the class, didn't want to talk to anybody. He sat next to me. He just wanted to talk because he's a very outgoing guy. And eventually he was cool. We ended up like doing all our assignments together. We did a project together. He was very cool dude. But then I just don't talk to him no more because, I'm just lazy to talk to people outside of school. And that's a me issue. That's probably why I don't have many friends. But yeah, thinking about it, I'm like, damn, that was a good time. It made that class not boring. It made it like there was something to look forward to in that class instead of just sitting there bored all day compared to like a lot of classes I would have, right? But at the same time, I think loneliness and thriving in loneliness is really important. Some people aren't able to just live and thrive in loneliness. They need somebody to be there. They always need a friend. They always need a family member. They always need their phone. It's like sometimes you got to experience just being alone and enjoying being alone with God, because you're never actually alone, right?
Are in fact dealing with a crisis of loneliness in the modern world. The culture changed, but so did the economy, which has elevated the skills of loner types and diminished the contributions of men eager to work side by side toward building something or destroying things. The pleasure in cooperation, in talking shop, in the mutual respect and understanding of men who daily see one another tested is biologically valuable. One of the key features of worthwhile friendships is that the circle expands to include others. C.S. Lewis wrote that the opening line of a friendship is, "What? You too? I thought I was the only one." Things begin in a shared love for something and grow from there. For C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien, they were opponents at Oxford on a matter regarding the English language curriculum, but they found out that they were both obsessed over Icelandic myth and language, and so they formed a club around it called the Coalbiters. No one is going to find a friend based purely on selfish motivation like ending their loneliness. It has to begin with a passion and an interest in other people.
But what if you don't have the interest in other people, right? Because there's times where I could make friends, but at the same time, like, I don't care to. Like, it's very rare I meet somebody who I feel like is like similar to me, is as authentic as me, like, and I don't want to put that effort into liking people or talking to people that I really don't care to. And even in the circles and friends that I've had before, like, there's been people in those circles that I just tolerate, even though I don't like them. I just don't tell them to their face because that's like rude and disrespectful, but they're there, and I don't want to be around a lot of people at the same time. So it's weird for me, right? But I do envy the fact that a lot of people have really good close friends that they made from whatever, from their childhood or from being older even. And I think some of the best friends you could make is probably when you get older. I know we be saying like when you're younger is probably the best time to make friends because that's when your best friends come in. But I feel like a lot of younger friends is also just because of, proxemics or proximity, because you went to the same school or you went to the same daycare or your parents live next to each other. But when you get older, you get to choose who you hang out with. You get to choose where you go, what hobbies you partake in, and that, develops your friendship and your your emotions, your ambitions. And then you meet people who are similar to you or have similar interests to you. And I think that's the best way to truly make real friends that you like. But at the same time, can you ever trust these people? I don't know. But is that a bad mindset? Yes.
Do want to work together and feel like they're part of something. The Stoic Seneca touched on this when he described seeking out friends just so that you won't die alone. Anyone thinking of his own interests and seeking out friendship with this in view is making a great mistake. Those kinds of friends are fair weather and clingy. The fellowship that forms.
Yeah, I think friends, you don't seek friends. I think friends, they come to you. It's like what people say about relationships, right? Like if you're wanting to get a girlfriend, you're probably not going to get a girlfriend or boyfriend. Just like with friendships, you can't want to find friends because then it's going to it's not going to be genuine. It's not going to be a connection. It's going to be forced, and you just have to kind of let it happen. You got to be around situations that you like, join clubs, join a sport, join like some type of rec event, and, find people with similar interests. And, if you click, you click. You can't force it.
In Tolkien's Rivendell is not an amalgamation. It is part of the masculine instinct to take up arms with the guy next to you. We long for courage, and so often we're just waiting for the guy next to us to get the ball rolling. Someone has to say I first. Truly meaningful friendships, they are not closed. They invite others into it. Two men getting together like Lewis and Tolkien did to share their writing becomes a campfire that other men want to join, and that's the group that became the Inklings, which helped birth The Hobbit and the Screwtape Letters and Narnia. Friendships have to be about something, and that can be literature or fantasy sports or soccer, video games, or war reenactments. You will not find the warrior, the poet, the philosopher, or the Christian by staring in his eyes as if he were your mistress. Better fight beside him.
That's something to think about, right? Because if your friends and your friendships are based off like an interest or a common goal, then are you guys actually friends, or is that just how friendships work, right? Because I'm thinking about I've met friends through most of them because we had a common interest, whether it be a sport or some type of other hobby or by chance, or we just connected on some type of conversation. But are we really friends? Or are we friends because of that interest? How does it work? How do friendships work? The friendship is always based on something, right? It's conditional. Everything's conditional, right? It's conditional the fact that you guys have the same hobby or the same interests or the same goals or the same motivations. So if you like motorcycles, you could find friends that like motorcycles, but you would never be friends with them if you weren't in that hobby and you guys just met up in like coffee shop, right? So it's just weird to think about how friendships aren't actually truly based on like whether we click personality wise. It's whether we have the same hobby or interest, and that clicks us together and unites us in one common goal, shared fact, or whatever.
Read with him, argue with him, pray with him. Masculinity requires doing things. It's not just setting things right or bringing order to chaos. It involves saying yes when you might want to say no to your kids, to your wife, to your community, to the guy at work who wants to hang out on Friday when you're tired. When you get locked into despair and saying no and you retreat into yourself, there's nothing there. The world becomes worse off and you need to be a part of it. Men have to be willing to get hurt and to be challenged. I think a lot about strained friendships like that of Boromir and Aragorn, or Bucky and Captain America, even 007 and 006 before the events of GoldenEye. They're people in tension with one another. They fight, but they're passionate. They care about things. John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, America's most explosive frenemy relationship, was so warm and so affectionate at one time, and so wounded because these men wanted to build a country, but they couldn't agree on the details. They loved one another because in that friend, in that rival, was someone else who cared. That's what I want. I want people in my life who give a damn and want to talk about it. Men are not often very good at this. It does take time, but that starts with making your values known. It gives somebody else the opportunity to reciprocate. You have to open the door so someone can walk through it. And guys, that relationship...
I think what he's saying is true, right? In most relationships, I think having similar values is what makes that relationship work. Like, for example, I'm a God-fearing man. If I find another God-fearing man and we're both probably connect on a friendship basis, we could disagree and headbutt on certain things, but we would probably be baseline friends. But if I met like a Satanist, I don't think I could be friends with him. Maybe as a person I could respect his existence. I wouldn't be friends with a person like that. And it goes with other hobbies. Like if I like reading books, I like watching movies, I could connect with people on that baseline fact and we could talk about something else, but that will always be our main thing that's holding us together, right? I don't know. It's a really complex topic to think about, I think, when it comes to relationships and friendships, because how do you know somebody's your real friend? How do you know what you have is authentic? How do you know that you guys are actually the same? Like, how do you know you feel the same way about this individual and they feel the same way about you? It's just a lot to think about. And it's sometimes, it's a little overwhelming for some people.
Might end up looking a lot like Frog and Toad or Sam and Frodo. There will be hugs, backslaps, eye contact, tears, anger, and quiet coexistence. You can sit around and play video games, do nothing, or go out on an adventure. You share one another's company. Now, why does the culture try to corrupt and deride friendship? One of C.S. Lewis's most bold claims in The Four Loves about this is that friendships are a threat to power and collectivist tyranny. When you form a clique, it discriminates and sets up walls around it about who is a good fit and who isn't. It's selective and values-based, and those values can be bad or they can be good. And what he feared most was sort of a quasi-communist world in which all men are companions, but none are friends, which is to say they are forced into one another's company. Nobody chooses it. Friendship is a miniature rebellion against larger groups and power structures. And I think deep, affectionate, and values-driven male friendships are in fact threatening to some people. So be a bug in the system. Build friendships. And that starts with putting your values out there and purpose for people to see. Let's get it done.
I actually think he had a lot of good points. And I think the final message he had there, you have to put your values out there to make friendships, right? Like the friendships you made in school, the friendships you made growing up, yeah, those are friendships too. But I think when you purposely try to make a friendship or look for individuals with, similar hobbies or interests, I think those become the stronger friendships. And that's when you know what you like and the type of people you want to be around. Man, that was a good video. I did not expect it to be this philosophical in nature, I guess. But if you want me to watch more of that, let me know. But make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and let me know who your favorite male friendship or duo or group in movies or literature is. Comment that down below. Bye.